Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. There appear to be glimmers of a new dawn breaking for the Botswana resources sector. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer recently visited the country and is in the studio to tell us more. Welcome, Martin.
Thanks, Shannon.
Now, the thermal coal market in Botswana seems to be making some waves, or should I say it's creating some heat. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, firstly, China's been too dependent on diamonds. I mean, it's absolutely dominated that economy to its detriment. So the diversification is important, and now it's another form of carbon, coal. And they've got a lot of it, 212 billion tons of it. So they have known about this for a long time, but they've taken a long time to actually do something about it. Now the Australians have actually moved in force. I mean, they love that country. I mean, they stand on public platforms and tell you how wonderful the country is, and they compare it to other countries and say how much easier it is to do business there, etc. And they're keen on turning that coal to account. And one of the drivers of the demand is India, because India is now building a lot of coastal power stations. They're going to require, they said one speaker said 10 power stations that'll be in the region of 4,000 megawatt each. So it's an enormous program that they've got, and they've deliberately put them in the coast so that they can import the coal. So seaborne thermal coal of a lower grade is now in a big demand from India. And that's why the Australians are looking at the logistics side of it, and also across east, because, if they go through Beira or Maputo, or there's a new port that they're planning below Maputo, it's going to be closer to India, very close, and probably give it a bit of an advantage. Not from a South African point of view because we're slightly closer, but they would have a pole position. So they're keen on taking up that opportunity.
Now, what are some of the challenges that Botswana faces?
Yeah, well, that's one of them, rail and port, deep water ports. So, you go to Botswana and you say to them, are you crazy? You're a landlocked country. And they look across to Walvis Bay, and we know the World Bank and other people are doing a feasibility study on this Trans-Kalahari line. It's been mooted for a long time, but they're starting to put timescales on it now because it's needed, because there's a lot of wealth to create from the coal, and if they put that railway line in, I think it'll be quite well used. In fact, the South Africans might also decide to use it, because you've got really our Waterberg coal deposit is a cousin of Botswana. It's just a border that separates them. So if they're going to export to Europe, they would look to that Kalahari line probably. And they might even look to the other railway lines that are being considered going into, to the east coast.
Now, Botswana offers the opportunity for local ownership in a major emerging project. Can you tell us more? Yeah,
we've got black economic empowerment here. They've got a situation where every miner is keen to list on the stock exchange there, the Botswana Stock Exchange. Botswana has a situation where they educate a lot of people. I think they put about 200 students into the world market a year. So they will go to universities at Harvard, they'll go to the top universities. And when they come back to Botswana, which these Botswanans are very loyal, they don't seem to leave the place, they need jobs. So you need a higher level of job, and the financial services and banking side of it and insurance side is starting to develop. So you get asset managers there ready to put provident fund savings and pension fund savings into these operations, and that enables them to get in on the ground floor. You get the situation where a young 30-something explorer comes there with his partner, who happens to be another young 30-something CA. They list in Australia, they raise some capital, they then list in Botswana. This is an opportunity to get in on the ground floor, and these fund managers do their due diligence, see they can go and look at all the sites, see where they're drilling, and then they bet on those. And you have quite an uplift of that share value, which is going to be good for the local people of Botswana, because a lot of their pension savings, a lot of their provident fund savings are in there, and it can float all boats. So instead of having a sort of a BEE type approach that we've got here, they are enablers. They enable the situation for the investors there. And the investors, they wax lyrical about these guys. And then they say, well, our participation will be in getting in early as an investor in your business, and then rising up with you and getting the benefits. So it's a different approach.
Now, the Africa Competitiveness Report was recently launched. How did Botswana do in that?
Didn't fare too well. And I think it's good. You see these reports come through. I think there are too many glowing reports about Botswana because that's unreal. I mean, even when I was on my way home now from the airport, I said, why are all these school kids on the street here at 5 o'clock? What's going on? No, well, there's been a big teacher strike. You never used to have that in the past in Botswana, where there would be strikes of that nature. But it shows you what global economics does to a country, even like Botswana. People just weren't buying diamonds. So their revenue stream was down. So when the workers came and said, hey, we want some more money. We're working for you, government. We're really diligent. Yeah, what about a raise? They said, well, look, we just haven't got any money. So these guys went on strike, including the teachers. And so now to make up the lost time, the kids leave school late because the teachers are teaching them later into the afternoon so that they can catch up before these exams. So it's warts and all there. I know of stories of horrific corruption in Botswana. So it's no good going in there and trying to gild the lily. And so this competitive report looks to their labour force and they say it's inadequate. And they look to their bureaucracy and they say there's too much red tape. But what the response is from the government is, from public platforms, they say, yes, we're working on it. We're trying to improve it. We're on a continuous improvement path. And the response from the investors is that, yes, you guys are doing well.
Well, it's good to hear. Thank you very much, Martin.
It's a great pleasure.
That's the show for today. Join us again next time for more news and insight into what's happening in the mining world.